So I saw this article about FPS games, 9 to 10 first-person shooters. One of 2023's best games has almost no players on Steam. So basically this article is saying that all of the best games on Steam for some reason have no players. What's up with that? That's crazy. Why do the best games on Steam have no players? It's because they're single player games, dude. They're single player experiences. God, there has been this increasing trend of people on Twitter trying to dunk on other people's gaming choices because they're like, dude, your game's dead. Look at it, dude. Like people were doing that with Elden Ring too. They're like, wow, dude, COD's so much better than Elden Ring. Look at the player count. Oh my God, Elden Ring's dead. And it's like, dude, Elden Ring is a single player game. People play it and they move on. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of a single player game. You play it on your own time. Every game can't be a live service game, okay? Like you can't expect every game to come out to always have players constantly. It doesn't make any sense. There can only be so many games that always have players on. Like, it's just impossible for every game to have enough players to maintain a live service model. There's just not enough players. Like, people have things to do. They have jobs and stuff. And also, when it comes to live service models, the people that spend the most money are either children that have wealthy parents or just gave them their credit card, or they're like working adults who have jobs and stuff and need to, like, you know, go to work to buy things in your live service game. Like, for example, I don't understand how so many people play Rust for so many hours in the day. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. I like Rust. I like games like Rust. But oh my God, I don't have 12 hours a day to spend on a server playing that game. I wish I did. I wish I felt comfortable wasting 12 hours a day playing Rust, but I just don't. This article goes further and lists RoboCop Rogue City as an example, which I've heard that game is actually really good. And it says, oh, they accumulated 435,000 players in the first 2 weeks. And then they racked up 2.7 million active game sessions within those 2 weeks. And then they're like, oh my God, guys, this game died. Look at 5,000 current players. What happened? What happened to this game? I really just don't understand why people are doing this kind of comparison. It doesn't make any sense to me. And like, this is from a PC games like website. This is like a gaming website. They should know better. But at the same time, this is probably somewhat rage bait. At least this article is rage bait. I don't know about on Twitter. Like, I'm sure sometimes it's rage bait on Twitter, but sometimes it's probably just actually people just being brain dead. I think what really happened with this kind of discourse is that people started comparing single player games to multiplayer games, ironically, to ironically dunk on people, and then really, really dumb people started doing it seriously because they thought it was like a legitimate argument. I just don't understand why this is such a thing now. Also, RoboCop is a 93% on Steam, which, like, if you don't shop for games often, 90+% is like masterpiece level on Steam. Like, if something is 90+% and it's in your genre, I would just pick it up. There's very little games I think you'd be disappointed by with like a 90% rating, unless it's some super fanboy game that came out. Like recently there was this RTS game I was looking at and it had really good reviews when it first dropped. It was like 80 to 90%. And then I checked back 6 hours later and it was at like 50%. Because the fanboys who got the game first were like, it's the best thing ever. I've always wanted this Warhammer game. And then the people who were like chill about it came in and were like, this thing sucks. And you definitely don't want all your games to be live service, because if they are, what's going to happen is they're just going to start dying quicker. Like, look at COD, for example, Warzone. They already got rid of the first Warzone after not an okay amount of time. I want to say it was about 3 years. I know I talked about this a bit ago, but I forgot the exact number. All I know is that it wasn't okay. Okay, it wasn't an okay amount of time that that server was online. Especially with how much money Warzone encourages you to spend. Like, it's kind of insane. You also start getting stuff in games that just doesn't look right. Like, a lot of the COD stuff does not look right. Ironically, I think Fortnite probably had the best live service model to date, and everyone's just trying to copy Fortnite because what they did works. And then you have like Halo Infinite, for example. That game launched in complete disarray. That's also a live service game. They touted that game as lasting 10 years, like the Halo for the next 10 years. And now it's a dead game because Microsoft sucks at making Halo. Like, that whole situation, if you're a Halo fan, is infuriating. Because from what I understand, 343, instead of hiring full-time devs, just cycled out contractors every 6 months. So every 6 months, new programmers would come on board and they had no idea how to use the Halo Infinite engine, and apparently it was bad. Apparently it was a really bad engine. They didn't get anything done. That's why the game launched so poorly. But that's a live service game, and it launched horribly. Apparently it's better now, but it doesn't matter. The game's better now because they killed it on launch. It has 2,000 concurrent players, and that's it. They didn't release enough content. People got bored, and the game just also missed a lot of features at launch that people wanted. like custom games and infection and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think that was a big thing with Halo 3 Forge. That was like a huge reason people played it. I know that's why I primarily played it. When I play with friends in Halo 3, we do Forge stuff. We do custom maps, we do custom game modes. Like, we did a lot of that kind of stuff. Okay, a little correction. Halo Infinite wasn't really dead on launch per se. It died a little bit after launch because there was no content to sustain the player base. The game actually did pretty well on launch and people were like really into it and liked the game. It's just that within the first 6 months or so, they didn't release any new content and the game died. It was basically on launch, but not really. It was a buildup of resentment because we waited so long for this Halo game and it launched. It lacked a lot of content, but don't worry guys, it's a live service model. We'll get more content. And we wait and we wait and we wait and we get a new content, and the seasons in that game are like literally like half a year. Like, they're not seasons. Like, a season is 4 times a year. And Halo barely had 2 seasons within the first year, if I remember correctly. So, not doing great. It's not doing great. But all of that to say, stop comparing single-player games to live service games. Please, we don't need more live service games. We don't. We have enough of them. We have so many, in fact. The ones that exist can't stay alive. And yeah, that's also the devs just not making the game good for sure. But you're only going to have so many people playing a live service game at once. You can't have everyone playing all live service games at the same time. Destiny 2 is a pretty good example of this. The devs have not been treating the player base well at all. I remember playing Destiny 2 on launch, and I was pretty disappointed by a lot of stuff. Like, for example, the shader packs, they used to be like a multiple use, or at least they were like not microtransactions. I'm like pretty sure they were multiple use, but now you need to collect like multiple of the same color to like color your armor and guns the same color, and you also can pay for these shaders and stuff. It was just really dumb. I don't know about you guys, but when I play an MMO, one of the things I like to do is make my guy look cool. And if I can't do that, I'm pretty off-put by the game. I think it's like a pretty important part of an MMO type game, because what else are you gonna do in an MMO? The whole point of an MMO is to sink a bunch of time into it. If I can't make my guy look cool, why am I gonna play it? It doesn't make any sense. The devs for Destiny 2 also just don't really listen to community feedback at all. Like, they've done a bunch of balancing changes and stuff, like in the Crucible, which is like a PvP arena, and people just don't like them. Like, occasionally I'll see posts from the Reddit just pop up on my feed, and it's them complaining about balancing, saying that guns don't feel good in a shooter MMO, which is a pretty bad thing. And it's also weird that the guns don't feel good in Destiny, because that was like one of the experiences I had that were positive with it. The shooting felt good. Yeah, there were some guns that kind of sucked. They didn't feel really weighty, but like overall the shooting was pretty good. And to hear that it's bad now is not good, because it's a shooter MMO. Now, obviously it's like one post that I read and I don't even remember like where it is, but still, Destiny 2 definitely has a lot of issues that devs have not addressed. I've heard a lot of complaining about that game over the years. And sure, a lot of people are probably complaining for no reason, but as someone who played the game, it definitely has a lot of issues that the devs just don't talk about or address really. Like, the shader thing really is too far in my opinion. That's what got me to quit. I was like, what's the point in playing this game if I have to pay for shaders every time? I'm not gonna grind for 8 hours to make my armor color red, okay? It's not gonna happen. But when it comes to comparing player counts of live service games like Warzone and Destiny 2 and all of those games that are all gonna have more concurrent players than single player games, can we just not compare the player counts and act like it's a problem? Because whenever a lot of people complain about that kind of thing, I swear, there's less single player games being made. And we have enough multiplayer games. We don't need more. So can we not make them make less, please? That's pretty much it. I just wanted to rant about this a little bit because I kept seeing this argument pop up on Twitter, and it's annoying and stupid because it's such a dumb argument. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe to me. Follow me on Twitter @Spattons1 and click the end screen now. Check out more of my content and have a good one.